Okay, welcome guys to Portal Wargaming Presents. Today we're going to have a look at the excellent, weird World War II game which is called Secrets of the Third Reich. It's by Westwind Productions. Today I'm playing with BC Alpha, who's using an American force as I move across towards the table, and I'll be using my Soviet survivors. So if you bear with us, we'll have a look at the forces.
I'm BC Alpha, a member of Portal Wargaming Club. I'm here today to showcase Secrets of the Third Reich and to play a good game with Scorpius GLC Dave Barfield.
Okay guys, BC Alpha is using an American force. He has a command squad with Bucky and Cap America. There's no specific rules for them as characters, but he's using Bucky as a commander and Captain America is a super soldier for his army. Then there are two squads of two squads of Marines facing off against Soviets. We've got two HMGs, a squad of engineers, a squad of troops, and then over here we have the command squad with the character Hammer and Sickle. So the battlefield setup is just quite simple. Terrain within running distance pretty much of 8 inches. You've got some trees, some hills. Preferably if we had some buildings here we'd use those as well, but we haven't. So it's going to make for an interesting battle report where we'll show you through the basic rules of Secrets of the Third Reich. So if you stick with us, coming up will be the battle report. Okay then guys, we are going to forgo the usual deployment, which is 8 inches, and go for a slightly closer deployment so we can actually see things get into action quite quickly, otherwise this video will go on for quite some time. The games themselves don't last a ridiculous amount of time, an average of around about an hour and a half, but you don't want to sit there on YouTube watching a full hour and a half game of 55 RP, battling it out using 8-inch deployments. So we're going to go in 12 inches, and we're only using 30-point forces. So bear with us. The Americans will now deploy, and then we'll get into you and show you through the turns as we go through. Okay, then we're all set up and ready to go. So in Secrets of the Third Reich, you have a stat called a cool rating for your characters or your leader for your command platoon. When they die, leadership passes to the next highest ranking officer along, and his cool rating will apply. In this instance, my Commissar Sickle has a cool rating of 10. So you use that at the start of every turn to determine initiative. So I'm going to roll for initiative, and my initiative will be the base number of his cool, which is 10, and I add to that the roll of a d6, giving me a score of 14. Now, BC Alpha will have a go to see if he can beat that. So what's the cool rating of your leader, your commander, or Bucky, shall we say?
The cool rating of Bucky in this game, because he's a elite trooper, is 8. So I get 8 and add the d6 roll to it, so my final score for this game will be 9. Dave's cool rating beats it, which means he gets to activate a unit first.
Okay, so with this, you'll probably see that shooting is quite bloody, which is why terrain is needed to be at least within running distance, I'd say. So in some of this instance, I think the terrain's a bit sparse, but it will allow you to see how brutal shooting can be and the reasons why you just don't walk up in the open in Secrets of the Third Reich. Now, the turn sequence itself is broken down into turn initiative, maintenance phase, and the maintenance phase is used for determining if models are dead, if they get back up, that sort of thing. The command phase, and then the action phase. I have no commands to issue, so I pass over to Ben and ask if he has any commands to issue.
I've got none I wish to issue, so...
commands are things like regroup, sergeant and gunner, assume overwatch, and so on and so forth. We don't have any to do at the start, so we go into the actions phase. Now, the actions themselves can be simply advance, they can be moving on the double, they can be hiding, sneaking, yada yada yada. So I'm going to choose something to activate, and I'm going to go with that. And the first one I'm going to activate is this unit over here, which is my survivor squad. Now, they've got a move of 4, or they can move on the double for 8 inches. So I'm going to move on the double for 8 inches. I'm not going to quite move the full 8 inches. You don't have to move the full distance if you don't want to. But these guys are moving up. Now, because they've moved on the double, that is all they can do this turn. So once I finish moving, I pass over to BC Alpha.
Now I get to pick one of my units to activate, and in true heroic fashion, we're going to start with Captain America himself. He moves like a normal infantry unit, so he moves 4 inches, or he can run the double for 8. But, seeing as he is a super soldier, he's full of drugs, vitamins, everything that make him faster, stronger than the everyday human.
He says his prayers, he takes his vitamins, and he drinks his milk, ladies and gents.
So, instead of moving 4, he moves 6 inches basic, and then can run for 12. So, he's going to run 12 inches, straight towards the machine gun section. He activates by himself because he's an individual called a loner. They can never join a squad. They are the heroes who run off by themselves, slaughtering the enemy. I now pass back over to Dave.
Okay, so during the action phase, we will do some other bits and pieces for this. I'm going to move my assault engineers 4 inches, like so, towards Cap America. And then I believe, if I'm right, BC Alpha, they can now shoot, can't they?
Yes, they can. Because they did a normal movement, they can shoot.
Exactly. So, because they've done a normal movement, they're going to open fire. So, if you have seen the link, guys, on the Westwind forums, you'll see a reference sheet which looks a lot like this. It's well worth the download. It's free to download. And on it, you can turn to the weapons table and find out what your guys are shooting with. So, mine are all armed with SMGs. So an SMG has a range of short range of 12 inches, a max range of 24 inches, they fire 3 shots each, and they're a light infantry weapon that have +1 to hit on short range. So if these guys were within 12 inches of Cap, which they're not, they would get a +1 to hit. So these guys are hitting normally because they're within their 24-inch range. So there is 5 of those guys there. So 15 dice is what I require. Yes, a full 15 dice are being shot at these guys. So 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 dice. Now, how we work out how you roll to hit is, first of all, we draw a line of sight to the model, and if you can see all its base, it's normally a 4+ to hit it. If it's in cover, in light cover it's a 5+, heavy cover it alters it, being in woods, having the ranger ability, those sort of things, they all affect it. So, if I turn over to BC Alpha, he'll tell me what I need to roll to hit. So, go for it, BC.
In Secrets of the Third Reich, there are no ballistic skills, there are no charts, there's nothing like that. All you've got is you are hit on a 4+ in the open, and then you suffer negative or positive modifiers. Negatives would be, as Dave said, in woods or in a building or some other kind of effect. Positives are with SMGs being in a shorter range or other things like that. So for the moment he needs straight 4s to hit me.
Okay, so 15 dice, even 4s to hit. Here we go. A terrible dice roll from me, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. So just under half of my shots have landed blows against Cap. So then, we look at what penetration class it is, and it's light infantry. So we go to the combined damage chart, light infantry weapons.
Now how this chart works is kind of like the fortificated wound chart. You find your armour value for your unit, which can range from unarmoured to light armour to heavy armour to tanks.
So you can just see that there. If you look across the line, you'll see light infantry. And then we compare it to the armour class, which goes down this side, of what we're attacking. So what's the armour class, BC?
Now, Captain America, as we all know, is a super soldier, and he has a shield. In the game terms, he has an ability called Uncanny Resilience, which gives him the ability of heavy armour.
So heavy personal armour, being shot at by light infantry, needs a 3+/5+. 3+ will down him, 5+ will kill him. So, if I roll these dice, looking for 3s and 5s, everybody. So we have 1, 5, 1, 6, and the rest are 3s or higher, with the exception of one dice which failed tremendously. So, we have 2 goner results and 4 down results.
Now, Cap does have another ability called Bulletproof. Now, you can think of this as him bouncing the bullets off his shield. Any dice Dave rolls get -1 to the result. So his 6 would become a 5, his 5 would become a 4, and so on and so forth.
So, my 3s here, Ben, is what I'm removing because they become negative. They become a 2, which is not good enough to harm him. So, my 6 becomes a 5, my 5 becomes a 4, and these become 3s. So, that's 3 down results, 1 goner result.
Now, down doesn't mean you've been killed. Down means you've either been ducked to the floor to dodge the bullets, or one's just simply hit your side and you've fallen to the ground. So we place a token of your choice, using one that says down, or using specific colours, mine are blue, to say he's down. Now, Captain America is a tough boy. Instead of having a single wound like most infantry models, he has 2. So I'll place a red token to represent he's taken 1 point of damage so far. So not only is he down, he's been wounded.
Okay, so with that, that's my activation done. So we move over to BC Alpha.
And my first activation is going to be this squad of US infantry over here. Now, movement, you normally move 4 inches. When you're in terrain, every inch you move costs 2, like most of the war games. So I'm going to do a normal move of 4, because I'm in the terrain, I'll only be able to move 2 inches really. So I shall move those. Keeping to the cover, because as we've just seen, shooting this game is rather brutal.
Yes, I mean 5 men firing 15 shots is quite a lot. And that's just a standard type of weapon in Secrets of the Third Reich. I mean the Americans, they can take BARs. You'll see in a second, a single base of HMG fires a lot of shots. And so on and so forth.
With it being World War II, the reason it's so bloody is, these guys didn't wear armour. This is why this game is so brutal, but so much fun.
It's a fantastic game. I mean, the fact that there's no heavy charts, apart from the basics for shooting and vehicle damage, there's no statistics, because at the end of the day, with the exception of Super Soldier, which has a few extra abilities, we're all just humans running around the battlefield. Or werewolves, or vampires, or urzines, or that kind of thing. So, what's happened now then, guys, is BC Alpha's moved his squad of Marines. They've moved up, or what should I say, infantrymen. They've moved up through the terrain. They've only moved their normal movement.
So they can still take a shot afterwards. Now, all my troops are armed with the Grand Carbine, which is a semi-automatic rifle, which if we find on the chart has a short range of 24 inches and a maximum range of nothing. It can shoot the entire board, but it will suffer penalties for doing so. So I'm going to pick to shoot your... I'm going to go for your machine gun in the woods, because I really don't fancy Cap taking on a machine gun.
Okay, so it's time to work out what you need to roll to hit. So, basically, you start off with a target number of 4+. That's the basic number that we start with. We then add to that the fact that they are wearing camouflage and are further away so they can benefit from camouflage. So, that gives you a -1, so that becomes 5+. They are in cover, so cover makes it 6+. And unfortunately, they have the Ranger special ability, which makes them a 7+ to hit, which means he cannot hit. So what's happened is he's allocated that he's going to move and shoot. And we've worked out that his shots just are going to fall short, he's not going to be able to hit, so that's his activation over. So,
I now pass back to Dave to activate his next unit.
In great response, I am going to take aim with my heavy machine gun. My heavy machine gun has a range of 24 inches, a rate of fire 6, so 6 dice, and I am going to shoot at Cap America. No, that's too brutal to do right now. We will shoot at The squad in the woods. Let's see how the shooting in the woods works. So, guys, over to BC, who's going to tell me what we need to hit?
Okay, so your basic score is always a 4 up. You've got a 50-50 chance of hitting a guy. When you're in terrain, you suffer a -1 to the shot, and certain guns have range penalties. And if we check, is that a heavy machine gun?
A heavy machine gun.
They do not have any long range penalties, but if a heavy machine gun finds itself within 24 inches of the opponent, which he is, he gets a +1 to hit. So he goes from 4s to 5s because of the terrain, and back down to 4s because his machine gun is in short range.
Okay, so 6 dice.
Needing 4s to hit.
Needing 4s to hit. Okay, so I get 3 hits.
True Dave fashion,
Yeah,
you only get
I
12
am
his
known
hits.
for my terrible dice rolling. BC always tells me, or Ben, I should say, I'm actually get bored of calling him by his screen name. Ben likes to remind me that my small dice suck, so maybe I should move to the big dice, but still, I like these dice because they've got Soviet symbols on them, hammer and sickle. So, we've got 3 hits. So we look at the armour penetration class. This time the penetration class is very light AT. So very light AT versus heavy personnel armour is 2.
It's not heavy personal armour because that would be Captain America.
Sorry,
a
yes.
generic infantryman doesn't walk around in power armour.
So
He's
they're
wearing
armoured.
cloth. They are just lightly armoured. So we can look for very light anti-tank rounds versus a light armoured infantryman. What do you need to down?
They're automatically down.
So those 3 that have hit have downed them, and they kill them on a 3 or more.
So with that, 2 are killed, and 1 fails successfully on a roll of a 1.
So 2 drop dead.
He's
and
activated.
And just for simplicity, I'll knock 1 down to say he's down. Being down doesn't mean you're out of the game. It just means you've ducked down behind cover because you've had a machine gun fire at you.
Yeah, exactly. In this game, being shot and you are a goner doesn't mean that you are. When I say when I'm rolling to wound downs and dead, they're not actually dead. They could still.
They might have run away. I mean, after you see the guy next to you fall to pieces, you're going to run away.
So
I now get the activation and might get.
They need to make a goner check, BC, just to remind you, because they've.
No, sorry, we are refreshing on this game. It has been a while since we played ourselves. As soon as a unit takes a casualty, you have to take something that's called a goner test. And this reflects that in World War I, not everyone's a trained soldier. The conscript in the group might get scared, panic, and it disorganises the group. So to take a test, we get 2 dice, and we try to roll under our cool rating, which for me is 8. But Captain America, being the symbol of freedom, the red, white and blue, as long as I'm within 8 inches of him, which I am, I get +2 to any cool test that I make, so I'm effectively leadership 10. So I need 10 or less on 2 dice. Which I do, so my lads stand firm and get ready for the next turn.
Okay then guys, if you bear with us, we're back in a second. Okay then guys, we're back. So we've resolved that over there. So over to Ben.
I now get to activate a unit, and I'm going to activate my command squad led by Bucky, Cap's faithful sidekick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an at the double move, which instead of moving 4 inches, I get to run 8. And I'm going to run towards this terrain piece. Because if you've noticed, if you're out in the open, you're going to die. Okay. And because they can't fire after done, their activation ends. I now pass back to Dave, who's going to activate probably his machine gun.
So yes, in typical my fashion, 6 dice for the heavy machine gun, shooting at Bucky's squad.
As you can tell, Dave's playstyle is not subtlety. The more guns you have, the better it is.
So they're within 24 inches in line of sight. So as you probably remember from the last time, guys, that means they get a +1 to hit. So 4s normally, 3s because of the +1 for shooting in short range. So
this is what I mean, if you're in the open, it hurts.
3s, gentlemen and ladies. So with that, I roll half of them below the required amount of 3, and 3 of them have rolled hits. So are these lightly armed as well?
Yes, every model is lightly armed.
Downed automatically, dead on 3s.
So Dave successfully manages to kill 2 again. So I'm going to remove 2 troopers, and 1 goes down. as we say, being down is not always a bad thing.
No.
So,
we're going to check there, I believe.
yeah, well, there's 2 colours.
Oh yes, yeah.
So, as we said before, my basic leadership is 8. Unfortunately, Cap's not going to be within 8 inches to use his inspiringness, so I need 8 or under on 2 dice, which I fail, and as soon as you fail, you become what's known as disorganised. Now, this is a state reflecting that you've all panicked and start to run in separate directions or run for the nearest cover, which you literally do. As soon as you panic, whenever you come to move, you must go towards the nearest terrain piece.
You make an on-the-double move towards the nearest piece of terrain to hunker down.
But if you've already activated a turn, this will not apply to you until your next turn. So for now, they're just going to stay there.
That's right, yeah. So over to you then.
Right, shall we see if we can kill anything this turn?
Yeah.
Right, there's only 1 squad left for me to activate. So we're going to go for my second squad of infantry. And they're going to move 4 inches forward, but because in terrain, I would only be able to move a max of 2 because I'm doing a normal movement. And then these are going to try and take a shot at something, if it isn't in a wood, wearing face paint.
Face paint being camouflage, of course.
I'm sorry, I have to take the mick out of the Russians because I hate the camouflage rule, because they're horrible.
Well, we'll wait and see what version 2 brings. If you don't know, ladies and gents, version 2 is being worked on at the moment for Third Reich. It was announced by Westwind a couple of months back on their Facebook page, as well as on their website, on the forums. Keep up to date with the news from the guys at Westwind, as it's going to be really exciting when they do bring out version 2. Hopefully some interesting new rules, and maybe some nice shiny new models to go along with the range as well. So, now that the Marines, if we get back to the game, the Marines have moved, or the infantrymen, as I keep calling them Marines, infantrymen have moved, it's time for them to do what they're going to do.
For this one, I'm going to try and take a shot at those guys out in the open behind the rocks there.
Okay, so my survival platoon, which thought they were hidden behind the terrain, find themselves in line of sight from some troops that have just moved their ways through the brush and scrub of the trees of the forest and are taking aim and firing. So what do we need then? So, straight at these guys here, they're going to need 4s to hit me, 5s because I've got camouflage.
And the other thing I have to check is semi-automatic rifles, when they come to shoot, if you're at long range, which is over 24 inches away, I get another -1. So, if we check, most of my guys are within 24, so they won't suffer that -1 to hit penalty. So, in total, it's 4s normally, but because Dave's got camo, it goes up to 5s. Now, semi-automatic rifles receive 2 shots apiece. So that means with a 12-man squad, I do indeed roll 24 dice to hit.
24 dice, everybody. 24
dice. Using my big red dice, all gamers should use big dice. I'm trying to plug this. I've got 4, 8, 10, 16. I've got 20 dice that I'm going to roll.
Here you go.
And then I'm going to borrow some of Dave's big dice.
Which are also red, by the way, because they were given to me by them. They're all back. Secrets of the Third Reich Grand Tournament, which was held at Derby War Games Show at Donington Park racetrack last year, which was 2012, and supposedly again this year for 2013.
So, back to the game. I need 5s to hit. Now you go see my dice rolls compared to Dave's. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 hits. And then a roll to down or wound. So, if Dave grabs the chart for me, we'll see what I need.
Yes.
A semi-automatic rifle is a light infantry penetration.
And I am an unarmoured man. So, a light infantry versus an unarmoured man means downs on 2s, deads on 4s.
So, we'll see what I get. So, down on 2s and dead on 4s, that means 7 of Dave's men die and 1 drops to the floor.
Ouch.
So, if that isn't a gun test, I don't know what is.
Okay, so with that, I do indeed make a Goner check.
Your cool rating is 10 because Russians in the background are die-hard survivors.
On an 8, I pass.
No, so they know how to work on their own and in the face of the enemy.
Okay, so with that devastating round, that's my survivor squad pretty much wiped out. I do have left my command platoon. So my command platoon will activate with hammer. They will move on the double. No, they won't, they'll move normally. So these guys are moving up. And we will take aim with the Pakdushka. I believe I've got a Pakdushka. Let me just check. Somewhere, maybe. No, all SMGs, I believe. Yeah, all SMGs. So 3 SMGs. Are they within range? Yes.
Yep.
So 3 SMGs in that squad, firing 3 each. Needing 4s to hit.
Yep, because I'm out in the open, there's no modifiers.
That would be 5 hits.
Okay. So we check
light infantry versus
light infantry.
Light personnel armour is 3s and 5s.
So we have 3 goners.
And 2 nothings.
Which leaves Bucky and a guy on the floor.
And they of course will take they're already...
Because they're already panicked, they can't be panicked again. Okay?
Okay, so with that guys, join us in the next turn. Okay then guys, so the next thing for us to do is to roll for initiative. So, rolling for initiative, I have a cool of 10, plus the dice roll on a big red dice of a 1. That gives me a cool, an initiative of 11.
So, with my cool rating of 8, to beat Dave's initiative, I will need a 4 or more. I get a 3, which is high for initiative,
so
which generates back down into a reroll.
I believe, actually, the person who had the turn last, it passes over, but as I say, we are getting back into this, so it's been a while guys, so if you want to check that in your rule books and put some sort of comment down in the bottom of the comment section and let us know what we're doing right and wrong, that'd be brilliant. So as we say, we'll do a roll off for this, so rolling again, that's 14 for me.
Right, let's see if we can do this, come on. 8 plus 3 is 11 again, so unfortunately Dave gets the initiative.
Okay, so I get the initiative. Right, okay, so remember guys, turn order being the initiative phase followed by the maintenance phase. So we go through maintenance. Anybody who's down, we have to roll to see if they get back up or if they're dead.
Or if they stand back up.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by down. Down doesn't necessarily mean you're out of battle, it means you could be just ducked down and then later on you get back up and start the fight again. Okay, so on a roll of a d6 for this guy over here, I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing, yeah you can. So let's see what happens to him. On a 4, the model stays down, so he's still down guys. Okay, now this is where things get interesting for me. I'll start off with this member of my command squad. I do believe it's on a 1 or a 2, you get back up. Yep. On a 3 to 4, you stay down. On a 5 or 6, you jump back up and can activate normally that turn. That's correct, yes. So, on a 1, he gets back up. I got the one. I was getting confused. There's one over there. The normal generic troop over here gets back up. Now, these sturdy American troops over there. Never mind, look, Captain America. This is where he keels over. Okay. So, we're going to see what happens. Unfortunately, I can't hit the table with my dice. Unfortunately, Captain America slumps to the floor. It turns out the SMGs were quite effective against him, so unfortunately I have to remove him from the table, unheroically. Terrible, terrible. So, then after we've done the maintenance phase, we move on to the command phase. Now I do have to issue an order right now. The order I have to issue is for this survivor platoon, the survivor squad should I say, not the platoon, the survivor squad that had a lot of shots at it. Because the Sarge was actually killed, I believe. Let's just check the bottom of that base. Yeah, he was killed. So I need to issue a Sarge as a Goner command for that unit. Now how this works is I take a cool check, -2, to remove the disorganised status of that squad. Even though they didn't run away, they're a bit, don't know what to do. What do I do next? What do I do next?
So I need to remove that disorganised status. So as Ben said earlier, my cool rating is quite high. I get to roll underneath it with a -2, so 8s or less. I do. So with that, they're no longer disorganised. So, initiative was with me.
I also have to issue an order, because if we remember rightly, my command squad were panicked. So, with their cool rating of 8, if I pass, they can activate normally this turn. If not, they run for the nearest terrain piece and give up their action for the turn. So, in Gung-Ho style, they stand back up, dust themselves off, and they're going to fight on for Captain America.
Okay, so I've got initiative. So I will open fire with this machine gun in the forest over here. Can you see that on the screen? I don't think you can, maybe. Over towards this table edge that you probably can't see. So I've been talking about stuff that you can't actually see what's going on. As you may see my face poking on the screen, never mind. So with that, my HMG gets 6 shots. And I take a shot at Bucky, stood right there in the open with his one last member of his squad.
As remember from earlier, you check to see if they're in short range, because if a machine gun is in short range, they get +1 to hit, so it downgrades from a 4 to a 3 to hit.
So, on 3s.
Hopefully Bucky can dodge this.
So 3 hits.
Okay, now, before you roll down your result dice, you have to allocate hits to models. Normally in the big squads, you just roll and pick them off, but because there's only 2 left, Dave has to put 1 hit on each, and then gets the choice of who the 3rd hit goes on.
So 1 hit on each, and the 3rd one will go on Bucky.
To try and kill my force leader, which will make my cool rating slightly lower.
Okay, so the first one, if we go to the chart on my lovely handy crib sheet, it tells me that heavy infantry, which is what the HMG is, versus light personnel, is 2s and 4s. So,
actually, Dave, you're wrong there. A HMG is actually
very
light anti-tank.
It's further up, it's downs and 3s.
Yes. Yeah. So they're all supposed to be down, and it's 3s or more to kill them.
So Bucky, first one. Nothing. Second one.
Okay, Bucky just drops to the floor, being able to dodge all the shots on him,
and the Northern Trooper, he gets it, everybody.
Now, because there's a goner, I'd have to take a goner check. So Bucky will take a leadership 8 test to see if he remains calm. He passes on a 7, so he just stays there.
Okay, so now the turn passes over.
So now I'm going to get some comeback. I'm going to get some vengeance here. I'm going to move my Americans 4 inches forward. The ones who are out of the terrain. Then the ones who are in are just going to move 2. Okay, because I move normally, I can take a shot again. Seeing as Dave's trying to wipe out my HQ, I'm going to retaliate the same. So, we'll see if I'm in my 24-inch short range. And because I am, I don't get a -1 to hit. But because he's got camouflage, I suffer a -1 for that instead.
That's right, yeah.
So 4s become 5s to hit. And I still get 24 shots. Because each guy with semi-automatic rifle gets 2.
Good job, Ben's got massive hands to hold the massive amount of dice he's now got to roll.
Big dice roll better. This is a fact, as we have already seen. 5s to hit you. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 hits again. So now we go to see what I need to wound.
Okay, so if we check the crib sheet, everybody, we have light infantry versus unarmoured is 2s and 4s. So that's 2s to down, 4s to kill.
Okay. 2s to down, 4s to kill. Put them down.
And that's just for the basic squad, ladies and gents.
So, 2 are dead, and the rest drop down to the floor with a withering hail of fire.
Okay, so that's those sorted. So I'm going to go and activate.
Because 1 has died,
I need to take a goner check.
As we say, people, we are a bit rusty on this game.
On an 8 I pass.
Russians.
Fine. They will activate. Move forward. And drag him 2 inches. Dragging in this or crawling is another way to look at it, is the guys keeping up with the squad. So you won't have to move their full move because they're going to be dragged or crawled 2 inches. But with that they move up. So we have hammer and sickle at the front and another pistol. So hammer himself has a packed dushka which is 5 shots. So I'll do him separately. 5 shots on the squad.
Okay.
Targeting the ones on the open.
So he only needs 4s to hit these ones.
And because I'm within 12 inches, I believe.
Yes, you are.
Because I'm within 12 inches, I also get a +1 to hit.
So he now needs 3s to hit the guys in the open.
And with that, 3 hits.
And what strength is that gun?
It is, let me just check.
I do believe it's a packed LMG.
It is, yeah.
So a packed LMG is a light infantry penetration.
Okay, so 3s and 5s.
Okay. Ooh,
1 down, 2 dead.
1 down and 2 dead. And then Dave's will get the rest of his shots.
2 pistols, now one of which is Sickle, and Sickle himself has a strange pistol, I can't remember its name, a Duska's Ugly Sister or something like that.
It's basically think of it as a hand cannon. The big brother of the revolver.
Yeah, so it's going to fire its round at the ones in the open again. It's going to need 3s to hit you, 4s to hit you, sorry.
It's going to need 4s because also I'm in the open. That's the average result.
Nope. And the other pistol? Nope. So those are activated.
Because I've had a goner result, I now have to take a cool check, which my basic one is 7, but because I still have my Sarge in the squad, he raises it by 1 to 8. Okay. So 8 or less, I pass, my guys stand firm, and I get to activate a unit. Not many options left. So I'm going to start with these guys here, and they're going to move normally. So, they're all just going to move 2, try and make their way out of the terrain. And because they've only moved normally, they can take a shot. Now, as we saw last time, trying to shoot Russians in any type of cover is a bad idea. So, I'm going to try to attack your engineers in the open.
Okay.
So, we shall see if I'm in short range to see if I get my long range penalty, which I don't. So, I normally need 4s to hit, and that's the only modifier there. And yet again, because I have
5s because of...
Oh, sorry, I did forget, they do have camo.
That's right, yeah.
So the 4s becomes 5s, and because I've took casualty to do, I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys left, which is still 20 shots with semi-automatic rifles. So, 5s to hit you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits.
Okay, so 7 hits flying towards my 5 men, everybody. That's right, 5 men.
This game,
What are they going to do?
right, I'm a light infantry gun.
Versus unarmoured.
So, what result will I need?
2s and 4s.
We'll see what happens. Okay, 5 drop dead, which is enough to kill the whole squad.
Yay!
There we go. See, this army works. When you kill Cat, they get better.
Okay, so that is my 5 engineers destroyed. Oh no, they destroyed everybody. So, I think it's a bit of retaliation now from the other HMG who's going to open up on the squad and hopefully kill some stuff. Now, there's other rules that we're not actually showing you how they work in this, called suppression. Ben, can you remember how suppression works?
Basically, you've got 2 methods of shooting in a turn. You can fire normally, where you're firing for damage to kill, to pin, and everything else. The second type is called suppression, where you're not aiming to kill people, you're aiming to make them duck for cover. And what happens is, you don't roll any dice, they take a cool test, and it's modified by certain results. So a heavy machine gun with its 6 shots reduces my cool by 2. So it will reduce my leadership from 8 to 6, and if I fail it, I can't activate for the turn because I've ducked for cover.
So we could be using those rules, guys, but we're a bit bloodthirsty, me and Ben, so we're going to shoot and kill each other. So, 6 dice, needing 5s because you're in cover.
Okay.
Or is it 4s because you're within 24 inches?
Ah, we'll double check. Yep, I'm within 24.
Yep, so 4s. Luckily for me, that means that 3 have hit. So, light, very light anti-tank is down to 3s against your guys. So, if we do some rolling on the camera, we have 1, which resulted in a kill. 1 that resulted
in a kill.
And another 1 that resulted in a kill. So yes, everybody, that's 3 dead for that squad. Woo, yeah! So 3 dead in retaliation for my 5. I think he's still got the upper hand there, everybody.
You killed Cap.
Yes, I did kill Cap. So that's...
No, actually, Cap can't just slump to the floor.
Yes.
Because
still take his victory, +1 to me.
Because I've technically you always take a goner test as soon as 1 casualty is taken. Always. So my cool rating is 8, because I've got the sergeant in the squad. So 8 or less, I pass, my guys stand firm. As I said, because Cap's died, these guys really feel like kicking the Russians down.
Okay, so I have 1 thing left to activate, which is my now not disorganised squad.
I really wouldn't call that a squad, I'd call that a pair.
And all that's going to happen is that one will crawl 2 inches towards cover. So, with that, we will now break for the end of turn. So if you stick with us, guys, we're back in a second with the next turn for you. Okay, so we are back for the next turn, guys and girls. So, as usual, we will take a d6. We will add it to our cool rating. The cool rating of my force is 10. So, 10 plus 5 makes 15, everybody, versus
8 plus 2, which is 10. So Dave gets the initiative yet again.
Woo, yeah, woo, woo. So, if you remember the turn sequence, ladies and gents, we have maintenance phase. So we have some down guys, so they need to see if they're going to get back up, if they're going to stay down, or if they're going to just bleed out and die. So, we'll go with this one here first. What does he do? He stays down. Next one, what does he do? He stays down. This one here, what's he going to do? He gets back up. Yeah, he gets back up. Okay, over to you, Ben.
Okay, I'll work my way across as well. Generic infantryman. Gets a 2, so he jumps back up. Now, here comes the important one, the false commander. So, we'll see what happens to Bucky.
6.
Bucky stays down, he knows when to duck his head for cover, and that's it for me.
Okay, so we'll start with some initiative. Right.
Who are you going to activate first, Dave?
I'm
assuming it's going to be a machine gun.
I'm going to try...
Tactics?
Tactics. Did we try some suppression, ladies and gents? What should we do? I don't know. Should I try some suppression or should I just go bloodthirsty?
I say kill. I say kill.
We'll go suppression. We'll go suppression with this heavy machine gun at the squad in the trees. So, do you want to take your attack? So,
okay.
Can you just confirm what we need to actually do? Shall I have a look at the clear sheet?
Working through book.
Suppression. Total rate of fire is greater than 10. You get a +1, which I don't. For every machine pistol, submachine gun, assault rifle, and pack light machine, you get +1. For every light machine, you get +2. For each heavy machine gun, you get +3. Sorry, +3 to it.
Which basically you work it in reverse. His +3 is actually adding +3 to my dice.
That's right.
Because it's based on a cool rating. So the effective use of this game is if you've got a squad of, say, Americans firing 24 shots, they will suffer -1 for every group of 10 shots, so that's -2 to the leadership. If you have any kind of machine gun there, that's another minus. It's a way of pinning your enemy in place so people can charge them, which we haven't covered yet because it is a bloodthirsty sport, that one. So for now, on leadership 8, because you've got the machine gun, I basically go down to leadership 5. So 2 dice, 5 or under, and do you know what? I fail. So for this turn, I literally have to move for the nearest cover, and that's it.
Yep, suppressed.
So I make an out of the double move into the terrain piece and hunker down. And that's a way of stopping your opponent from using that unit.
There is actually a way to get around it, which we'll get to in a second, which is an order you can issue at any point, which is called Just Do It. Now the Americans are pretty good, if I remember, at this. So
the basic way of describing it is the Americans are rather gung-ho. So whenever they do a Just Do It order, they get +2 because they jump into the fight. So
there's a chance they could still be in this round, but it's worth a try. So that's my first action done, suppressing the Americans. So we turn over to Ben for
and
his.
surprisingly, I'm going to go for a just do it order on that squad. So I take a leadership test. Now Americans get +2 to it, so the leadership of 8 becomes 10. So 10 or less, I get to act as normal. I pass.
Oh, just on a 9, everybody, on a 9.
But there is a penalty to just do it. You can't move and shoot. You can either move or shoot. Okay? So for me, I'm going to shoot at Dave's command squad.
Which is what I was trying to avoid from happening, but it's not worked.
So we check to see if I'm in my short range for the modifiers, which I am. So I've got 3, 6, 9, 10 guys, which equals 20 dice, firing at that unit. Because they're in the open, it's 4s, and because they've got camo, it upgrades to 5s. Which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits.
5 hits, everybody.
Now, because there are 5 people in the squad, Dave has to allocate where each hit goes. Because some of the unit are tougher than the others. E.g., the big blue guy with the hammer.
Don't we do downs first? Don't downs already don't they get taken off on the down result?
Yes.
Yes.
But you have to allocate
down in the same turn, everybody. So we'll allocate against this one first. What's going to happen with this one?
Okay, so light infantry just unarmoured is
2s and 4s.
2s and 4s. So it's over a 4, so he dies. Basically, you can do what's called double down a person. You pin them so much they either run off the field or you fill them full of lead. The second one, 2s and 4s again. So it's a 2 which downs him because he's already down.
He's already down, he's dead. So that's double down for you guys.
So
next one is this one.
Just a survivor. So I need 2s to down him, 4s to kill him.
That's right.
Nothing happens. So who are we going for next?
Sickle.
Okay, he's unarmoured or lightly armoured?
He is unarmoured.
So that is 2s and 4s to try and assassinate one of Dave's main characters. Nothing happens.
And now the mighty Hammer, who is
just like Captain. He's the Russian equivalent of a super soldier. He's been filled full of drugs and everything else, but this one doesn't say his prayers, so he's not as tough. He counts as a heavy infantry unit because of his sheer toughness.
Yeah, he has a thick skull and is hard to kill.
A thick skull is another special rule
and he's tough.
Comes into play later, which is if you've got a thick skull, you're technically immune to snipers. So for now, it's just the light infantry versus heavy infantry. And what will I need for that, Dave?
Yeah, because he is tough, he counts as wearing heavy personnel armour. So he's 4s and 6s.
Okay, so it's a 4 to down and a 6 to pull him down for good. I get a 1 which does nothing.
Okay, so with that, I've been taking checks to see if they are going to hunker down and stuff, but the squad is actually utterly fearless. So I've just read that in the rule book. They are utterly fearless, so nothing is going to happen there. So we will move on to the next activation.
If you're utterly fearless, you're immune to gun results, you're immune to suppression, you are literally utterly fearless.
So the next activation will be my HMG squad. HMG squad will fire at a bloodthirsty HMG squad, I might add, will fire at the squad of infantrymen in the woods. Okay. Needing 4s because it wouldn't be 4s, then 5s because of terrain, and then back down to 4s because I'm in half range. So I'm in short range, sorry, not half range, short range.
So 4s to hit.
So 4s to hit. So with that, mighty roll, only 2 hit.
Okay.
Oh, and I knock a tree over. So with that, 2 hits.
And check, remembering from earlier, very light anti-tank versus a light infantry.
Means a downs and 3s result.
So, they're all supposed to down.
On 3s I kill them.
So,
one's
dead,
down. One's just down.
And because I've taken a gunner, I have to take a gunner test, which is leadership 8 because the sergeant's still alive. I fail, so they become disorganised for the turn, so they aren't going to be able to activate. And
the only activation this turn is to hunker down in terrain, so.
And they're already in it, so they just hunker.
Okay, so that's them done. Over to Ben.
I've got no units left to activate because they cannot activate And all I've got left is my commander, who, I apologise, can crawl. And he's going to crawl 2 inches slowly towards the squad that's still alive.
Okay. And my newly refreshed and get back up Russian is going to take aim and he's going to fire. Is he within range? Yes, he is. 3 shots from his SMG, everybody. 3 shots, needing 5s.
That's one hit.
1 hit.
And you're a light infantry gun versus light infantry.
Needing 3s and 5s. Oh, it's a down result.
So, I downed a trooper, but because it wasn't a gunner, I don't have to take any more tests. So, my activation, I've got nothing. Dave, your activation.
Okay, so, Hammer and Sickles unit. They're going to move on the double, I believe.
The reason you would do this is, Hammer is a combat monster. The reason he has a massive hammer is because he knows how to use it.
Let's turn the model to face the enemy. Don't show me your back, fool, don't show me your back.
They'll show their back in a minute.
So, with that, that's the turn over, ladies and gents. Stick with us and we'll be back in the next turn. Okay, ladies and gents, we are back. So remember how it works, guys. Initiative. So, initiative. Let's roll a d6. Add it to our cool rating. Mine is cool rating 10. Plus 4 is 14.
And for me, it's 8 plus 3 is 11. So Dave, yet again, gets initiative.
Now I feel that there's only one thing left for us to show you guys in this brief intro, which is now clocked up to something silly like 40 minutes worth of video play. So the last thing to show you is combat. The best way to show you combat is for Hammer to smush some stuff into pulp. So we're going to do some combat. I'm going to activate, but before we do that, we need to do some other things just to show you and remind you what we're doing. So maintenance, I've got nothing to maintain.
Whereas I have. So we start off with Bucky, the heroic commander, who on a 2 jumps back up into the fight. And the 2 over here, first one stays down, and the second one dies. So, maintenance phase is over. Order phase.
Okay. Is there any orders to issue? Is there a sergeant left in that squad over there?
Yes, he is still alive.
Okay. So, with that, we'll go to actions. We will go to assault. So, assault quite literally is
an double
move directly towards the enemy that you are targeting. So, I will move there and there and there.
Unlike other war games, in this game you do not attack at the same time. You only attack. Oh, no, sorry, I've got it wrong. I've got a mistake. I'm thinking War Machine here. This one is if the only system I can think of the same as Lord of the Rings. You both roll the dice and add modifiers to it. Whoever gets the highest wins that fight and gets to wound the opponent.
Also, assault is the final thing that you do in a turn. So if we were going to continue the turn, we'd then go and do the next activation, shooting, blah, 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 whatever it might be. And then once they've all activated, you then go to the assault that's taking part. Or if there's multiple assaults, the person with initiative chooses which order to fight the assaults in. So, if you bear with me, guys, I'm going to go to free cam, so I'm back in a second. Okay then, here we are, the combat, which we're going to focus on with the handy cam. This is the mighty Hammer against that trooper there. The leader of the squad versus that trooper there, and
he is
Sickle.
actually my leader of the squad.
All right, okay.
So it's going to be an epic showdown.
An epic showdown, I see. Epic showdown, ladies and gents, epic showdown. I need some sort of spangled little banner that comes up across the camera.
We do. We need
epic showdown.
Character battle. And that's it.
Battle. So we go over to
we get so easily distracted.
Sickle against that trooper over there as well. Okay, so if I let Ben explain with the use of dice as a visual aid, I'm going to focus on Ben now, and he's going to tell you all about how combat works.
Okay, how combat works simply is each combatant gets 1 dice. You roll, and whoever scores highest wins. So you're just aiming to beat your opponent. But there are modifiers, such as, do you have a close combat weapon? So like my sergeant carries a katana, because he's Marine Corps. So he would get a +1 to his dice roll.
And mine has fixed bayonets, which gives me +1 to my dice roll.
And then certain creatures, such as Hammer himself, are what are known as combat monsters. They get 2 dice in combat. but they choose the highest dice roll of the 2 and add modifiers. So he would roll 2 dice and get a 6, which added combat weapon would make a 7.
I do believe Combat Monster is actually 2 dice base. It's only when you're multiple opponents that it's not. Shall we check that up?
I'm going to check that.
Okay, guys, I'm just going to entertain you with a quick, brief overview of what's going on the battle. So, if I fail this charge, I'm in a little trouble because there's a lot of infantrymen over here who are going to eventually move and gang up and attack me. So.
No, sorry, Dave is right. They get 2 dice base, so they add them together, which makes Hammer actually pretty horrific.
Yes.
So, repeating the example, if he rolled his combat dice, he would get a 11, plus his hammer would make it 12, which most guys will only get 1d6 with no bonuses.
So shall we do that one then?
No, because how you wound in combat is it's not like shooting where one hit, where you hit and you do a wound. You compare the difference. So his 12 versus my, say, 5. There's a difference of 7. He now gets 7 hits on that one person.
Yeah.
As I said, this is even more brutal than shooting. So, if we're going to go for it, because Dave has initiative, who would you like to start with?
Well, I'm going to start with Hammer over here, the mighty blue smurf that he is. He's going to attack with his 2 dice base. So if I can steal 2 dice.
Okay.
So 2 dice base, everybody, 2 dice base.
So he rolls them and adds them together. So his grand total at the moment is 8. Now, because he charged, he gets a +1, so it now becomes 9. And because he actually has the combat weapon, ironically, a hammer, it will go up by +1 again. So in grand total, Dave's combat result is 10. My generic trooper gets 1d6 basic. Every model in the game gets this.
So let's roll that dice then, Ben. Let's see what it does.
I get a 3.
Okay.
So
everybody, do your maths very quickly. We have 10. We take away the 3. It leaves 7, everybody. So how many dice does Hammer need to do damage?
Hammer gets 7 dice to
So
wound
can I steal 7 of your massive dice, please?
I suppose so, seeing as they haven't been doing me much luck. Now, Hammer, as a combat monster, has the ability Super Strength, which is exactly what it says on the tin. You can punch through buildings, which counts his attacks as medium anti-tank.
That's right.
So he can punch a hole in the tank too.
So unfortunately, this guy is not going to do too well. So if we go to the crib sheet and we look, I don't know if you can see this, let's see, it'll focus. So if we see, what was it, light anti-tank?
Medium anti-tank.
Medium anti-tank, that's even worse. So that's over here, ladies and gents. Medium anti-tank.
Versus a light infantryman.
Which is the second column. They're automatically dead. That's what the A means. They're automatically dead. So.
Now, if I'd been able to keep Captain America alive, he does the same trick.
So I pass these 7 dice back to Ben, and we then move on to the next guy.
We'll go for the trooper, because we might as well save the character battle for last. That'll be fun. So, you get Sickle, who gets... He isn't a combat monster, is he?
No.
So he just gets 1 dice.
Yep.
Same as my guy. So, you roll yours first, and we'll add your modifiers, so you get a 5. I'm assuming
Plus the combat weapon and charging.
Which makes it 6, 7.
Yep.
My guy just gets 1 dice. And gets a 6. So in total difference, 7 take away 6, leaves 1 hit.
So 1 hit.
Which will be a light infantry hit.
Let's get this to focus. Light infantry versus a light personnel is 3s and 5s. So, if we go and roll... Oh, with our 1 he does nothing. So the next guy, character battle.
So
dun dun dun, character battle.
We need theme music.
We do need theme music.
So, you get your character, so he gets 1 dice.
1 dice, +1 for charging, +1 because he's got a bayonet. So he gets...
An almighty...
4 in total.
4. So, we'll leave that there so we know. My Sarge gets 1d6, and because he has his katana, gets +1 for his combat weapon. Okay. So I get 6, 7. 7 versus 4 means I get 3 hits against Dave. So 3 dice, and because I'm light infantry versus light infantry, I need 3s to down, 5s to kill. So, I killed Dave's Sarge in heroic fashion.
So, Sarge is dead, everybody. Sarge is dead. So I take Sarge away off the battlefield. Sarge removed.
Yep. And now, how combat resolution works is, you count how many each side killed, which is 1 apiece, and whoever loses would have to take a cool test, but because no one lost, we just stay locked in combat. Now, it would enter my if I had an activation, I could move troopers into combat. And the reason this is good, and we'll provide an example now, is this. Sarge is here attacking Hammer. The corporal's there, and you've got a third man there. When normal trooper attacks, he gets 1 dice.
Should we do it?
We might as well. Because this is going to hurt. You just want to kill more things, don't you?
This will be an explanation for you guys. So, Hammer, he gets 2 dice base.
Because he's a combat monster.
Which is 6.
But he has his hammer, which gives him +1.
Which is 7.
Okay.
He's not charged this turn, so only 7.
My generic trooper gets 1 dice, which I get a 3. So 7 versus 3 is 4 hits for Dave. So 4 hits, automatic dead, so he dies. So the troop goes down. Now,
next one.
Dave gets 2 dice.
I roll 2 dice. I get 7 plus close combat weapon makes 8.
Now, because I'm the second guy attacking in a turn, I get 1 dice and then another dice because I'm outnumbering you. But unlike Hammer, I pick the highest, not add them together.
That's right, yes.
So my dice roll results in a 5. So Hammer's 8. Versus my 5 is 3 hits against my corporal. So Dave automatically kills him. My Sarge, with his awesome katana.
So I roll a 6 and a 3 is 9. Plus 1 for the weapon is 10.
This is what I mean. Bigger dice roll better. My Sarge gets 1 dice basic. Because he's the third in the combat, he would get an additional 2. You get 1 each time it's the next person. So if it's the 10th man in a squad, he'll be rolling about 10 dice, but he only ever picks the highest.
So 3 dice, picking the highest.
Which is a 4, and because I've got a combat weapon, it becomes a 5. So Dave would still now get 5 hits against the guy.
5 hits against the guy.
Kill him.
Okay.
So
guys, that's his combat, and really that's our game. We could play to the death. Ideally, guys, you'll play scenarios. If you get a chance, have a look at the tournament pack produced by MDK Gamers for the Grand Tournament, as those scenarios are really funky to play with. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or you'd like to see more, or if you'd like to see how vehicles work, etc., please drop us a message down below in the comments section, and we'll get back to you soon. Cheers, guys. Please comment, rate and subscribe, and hopefully you'll enjoy Portal Wargaming if you join us in Burton-on-Trent. See you guys. Bye.